All right, now, everybody. Quiet, listen to me. We're going to start a show. Now, some of you people have been with me before. You know it's going to be a tough grind. But we're going to have a show.
What's up? What's to the up? As the kids who are 70 say. How is everybody? Oh, it's our Big Friday show. I know. Let me put my credibility glasses on and recognize the return of the great Albert today, everyone. Yes, we're excited that Albert has returned.
Albert, thank you.
Albert actually coming off of a jury pool assignment. So when you want to talk law and disorder, we can do so with the great Albert today. Kim is here.
Kim, how are you?
Kim, not coming off a jury assignment, but nonetheless excited to have her in the mix. Quite the show today. Of course, it's Friday, so we'll do Friday Fabulous Florida, bottom of the hour. There is a gator in Friday Fabulous Florida, everyone. Yes.
That's what I like.
Oh, it's always a little better when there's a reptile involved. Am I right, people? Yeah. The 10 Commandments could be in every Texas classroom soon. Isn't that great? Finally, this country getting back to the 10 Commandments.
That's not fake. That's real.
And that's right. Live it up, everybody. And Mike Pence will have details as they sit on his testimony yesterday before the grand jury. Of course, that subpoena testimony, long time in coming, significant also probably because it signals the end of that investigative aspect of this entire thing and maybe signals the beginning of what could be actual indictments. Talking to Jim Avila, the former ABC senior correspondent from ABC News, top of the next hour. Michael Shure off today, but Avila, plenty of heft. Can I say that? I mean, yeah, there's more than enough Avila for that segment. And then finally, the Snyder Culture Blaster Blast. That'll be at 11:35. Smash the like button like a boss.
Smash it with your iron rod.
We depend on you for our likes. We depend on you for our existence, actually. We
Getting
are
some compliments. It's breaking news. Mark,
what's happening?
Looking good in red, writes Ren.
Oh, well, let me show you the reason I'm wearing this is not really, it's because of this.
Oh, it is a Mark Thompson Show shirt.
The Mark Thompson Show t-shirt.
In red.
Which you can see in red. Yeah. You
That's
can
meant
have
to
one
stand
just
out
like
in a
Papa
crowd.
T. Yeah, now they have it in red. They also are going to have it in gray and black, which I will also be debuting. The other thing, and this is sort of a beta test that's going on right now, is this is embroidered. We've had such good luck with the embroidery. You know, the hats are all embroidered. There's embroidery, I think, on the hoodie, which is a little out of the frame right now. So we get really great embroidery work done, and the merch people sent me this, and they said, see what you think. And
like
so
it.
somebody challenged me to wear it on the air, so there it is. That's what that is. Yeah, and the embroidery is really slick. So
it's higher quality when you get embroidered.
It is higher quality, and we're a higher quality program, of course. I'd encourage all of you to partake.
There's never been anything like this.
Yes. Go to getmarkmerch.com if you want to see all the other merch. We got a lot of cool merch, and I'll toss the jacket for now. But that's the reason I was. I'm debuting the shirt. Thank you for noticing, Kim.
Yeah.
All right, let's get on with it.
The Mark Thompson Show.
So I don't like to brag, but you know I am something of a role model. I'm just saying, a kind of a role model to many of the young people.
Do you know who I am?
Yes.
I'm kind of a big deal.
And one young person who looks up to me, and to be frank, I don't know why she does, is my mentee, I guess they call it. When I'm someone's mentor, I'm a mentee.
You have a mentee?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you, though, I think I'm disappointing as a mentee. Yeah, I know.
Well,
That was the best placed what ever. But let me just welcome her now, and she has something. She is a product of the foster program, and the foster program's got all kinds of problems. But when you find a treasure from the foster program, it's wow. And Nancy is that treasure. Here she is, Nancy. Everybody, come on.
Hello, Mark. Can you hear me okay? Am I good?
We can hear you great. You're just
okay, good.
You've got all that great energy.
Thank you. Lots of pink. I just realized when I logged on.
You do have. You're repping the pink hard. Yeah, that's true.
You're first off, public disclaimer, Mark is an amazing mentor. It's actually going to be 7 years this year since I first met you, and I approached you at the I forgot what gala event it was.
Yeah.
I forgot what it was.
That's because Kim was asking right before we went on the air. I said, I want to have you on, and Kim was saying, well, how did you become her mentor? It's sort of, you can tell. I mean, it was an event for foster kids and for an institution that's designed to reach out to kids in need. I'll just put it that way. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a lot of different situations. And I was the MC. And afterward, this person comes up that, look at her. She's this gorgeous, determined, dynamic person who came up to me. And she said, look, I wonder, this may be a little awkward, but I mean, would you at all consider being my mentor? I just think everything you've done in your career, blah, 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 whatever you said all the right things.
How do you say no to that?
You had a stage presence.
Yeah.
I didn't give him a choice. I kind of cornered him on the side of the stage.
Nicely
and
done.
Was like, hey. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I didn't let him
do this to me all the time. I don't know what the hell they do it for.
I'll tell you what I never told you this. And I'll tell you this along with my community here on our show. I was excited. You obviously have this magical quality. You're charismatic. You're beautiful. You're well-spoken. You're all of these things. You're goal-oriented. I mean, you could tell that all in our brief conversation over a 5-minute period. But I was concerned that I didn't want to be the mentor to an attractive young girl. I thought it was a bad look, you know what I mean? I thought maybe I can get her like a woman to be her, and so I really just didn't want it to be awkward, you know what I mean? Or for people to, you know what I'm saying? These days, totally. Everybody's a predator. I'm like, dude, only meet with Nancy in public spaces. I mean, that was the kind of my thing. But I'm so glad that you've done so well. And I've just watched you grow into adulthood. You were really there when I met you, but you know what I'm saying? You're really like now flourishing in other ways. So I wanted to let you tell, and I know this is tough to do, but maybe in like 90 seconds or less.
Yeah, I'll make it quick. I'll make it
No, but tell everybody, and then we'll get to the reason you're on.
Okay.
But tell everybody the environment in which you grew up is one that was really tough. And you were put into a foster care system because of that environment. But can you tell everybody a little something about that environment, and not to bum them out, but more to talk about your triumph, I think. Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, I'm a firm believer you can't choose where you start out in life, only where you go from there. Growing up, I didn't get the best, hand at life. I wasn't given the most supportive family. I faced a lot of trauma at a young age. When I look back at my childhood, I don't think of a happy kid on the playground. I think of a sad kid. But it's actually turned into something that's made me appreciate so many different aspects of life and taught me the importance of speaking up for myself and never shutting up if something's wrong. And by speaking to a social worker and speaking to my teachers and speaking to people and be like, hey, like, I don't know why I feel this way. This, this doesn't feel right happening at home. Why are all my friends, this isn't happening to them in their homes? And that
what was happening at home? Your mom was literally She had a drug issue. Is that what it was? She had a drug issue, and she was a prostitute. I forget the.
Yeah, my mom was a sex worker, and she also was just very abusive. She was never around. I didn't have a father around. It was really just me and her, and my whole life was centered around a lot of physical and emotional abuse at a young age. And I thought it was normal because you're not raised to know that your parents are crazy, and then you get older as an adult and you realize, oh wow, they're just figuring it out too. But at a young age, I realized that something wasn't right, and I didn't want to be a part of my so-called family because it wasn't a family. It was just an abuse cycle. And by speaking up, I was put into the foster system. And the way things turned out great was I was able to be placed with a family that ended up adopting me 10 years after meeting me. And they were able to, really uplift me and bring me into a new chapter of my life. So that leaves me here where I'm like, okay, I'm, able to get out of a bad situation, and I want to help other kids who are in that situation, who didn't have families, who didn't grow up with happiness, to have this new chance at life.
What do you think of the foster system generally?
Yeah, I think it's a very broken system. It's like it has a lot of broken wheels, but ultimately it's a machine we need because these kids, they need places to go. They don't all have amazing family and friends to go to. So, when they initially made the foster system, there was obviously a lot less kids. It was a lot easier to outreach to different people. There was different funding. But now we're in a place where we have the, power of social media. We have the power of, going on an amazing show and talking about it, and we can raise more awareness. And I think ultimately, due to the high amount of kids that are going in, we need to support them because a majority of these kids, 50% of them that age out end up either homeless, they end up in the prison system, or they end up with mental issues because they were never addressed at a young age. So by giving these kids, more opportunities, a chance to have a family, a better platform, we're ultimately lifting up the entire society as a whole.
Well, that's just so well said. So and this is the funny part, I felt a little like a parent when I got this because it happened last minute. I get this message from Nancy going, "Oh my God, maybe you can help me. I've got a fundraiser for the foster program. We'll post the poster in a second. Here it is.
There she is.
Yeah, and you're doing a run to raise money, but this is sort of last minute. It's coming up. You said, "Well, the deadline's coming up, and I don't know what to do. My computer was stolen." You had I felt like, I don't know. I'll welcome you to our show, and maybe some of our audience will support. What is this though that we're looking at? Help give foster children a chance at a brighter future is what I'm seeing.
So I'm ultimately running a half marathon for Raise a Child. They're a nonprofit organization that helps parents match with other foster kids that need homes. I'm specifically running for the parent matching event every single month. Approved parents that want to adopt children get to meet with social workers, get to see different kids, like just photos of them and, their characteristics and see if they would be a good fit for their family, resulting in hopefully these kids getting adopted and exiting the foster system, just like I was able to. So I'm raising $4,000. That would fundraise an entire event that covers between, 20 to 50 kids being looked at and compared with families. And I just feel like everyone's always like, "Oh, I'm sorry you're adopted," or "Oh, I'm sorry you're foster kid." Like, no, don't say sorry. Let's do something about it. Let's make a change. That's why I also made merch. This hoodie helps
look at that
foster kids, so we gotta
there
represent.
We
gotta represent. There's more. I'll put the link there. I got lots more merch if you want to wear your support. Ultimately, just ending the stigma on foster kids because people assume, they're going to end up in crime and, they're going to end up and not have a good life. But in reality, there's a lot of kids that were foster youth that did end up succeeding, but they don't want to talk about being a foster kid because of the sad connotation that comes with it.
That's the problem. There's a stigma. Good. Now, what is do we have it, Albert, the website where they can contribute or you can follow Nancy's, tell me the bad news, Albert. You don't have it? She didn't send it? I didn't send it to you?
No worries.
I can add it.
Okay.
I just added it to the private chat too.
Has no idea what they're doing.
All right. He'll add it right now.
Yeah. It's in even if you just type in "running for foster kids," like you see under my little name, it should come up on Google.
Oh, and she put it in the chat. She put it in the chat too, Albert. Maybe you can see that. Running for foster kids, that's all you need to do. You can put in a Google search for that, I wonder.
I think I just
Google it.
Yeah.
Google it.
Nancy is amazing. Thank you, Mark T. Yeah, she is amazing. She really is.
You've helped uplift me to do a lot, Mark. You've shown me that it's possible to use my voice on a platform and speak up, and you've given me the opportunity to share my story so many times, and it's led to me having nonprofits reach out to me and other, media companies want to do stuff. So honestly, if I didn't meet Mark, I wouldn't have had the confidence to use my voice in this.
Well, that's a very nice thing for you to say. I sort of feel like I haven't done enough. I love that you're running for the number 4 foster kids. It's all there. And then as far as contributions go, do they do it at that same, where do people support you? So you have to raise $4,000. Where can I?
Yeah. So if you
money?
buy a piece of merchandise, 100% of the proceeds go directly to the cause. And you can also submit extra donations along with buying the proceeds. There's also a link, run sign up / running for foster kids that I just put in the private chat. And that is where you can donate money directly. But I am supporting people buying merchandise so that even after you donate it, you can spread the word. I wore this at the market and someone was like, oh, I was a foster kid. No one ever talks about it. So let's spread the word together.
I will create a banner right now. And this is the, I don't know if this is, well, this will work, but no, that's a pretty long.
There's two links in there. You got to separate them, people.
Yeah, but they're both long. All right, so now I see why Howard didn't put it in. All right, so you'll Google running for foster kid, the number 4 foster kid.
I was wrong, period.
Yeah, I know. Sorry about that. I also remember we tried to get you a job. Isn't this right? Early on. This is not. So please, everybody go for running for foster kids. Try to get. I'm sorry for that banner, Albert. That's my fault. At KTLA was one, but I also was Steve Harvey. Didn't you have something with Steve Harvey?
Yeah, so I was a part of the Disney Dreamers Academy. It's where
welcome to Family Feud, everybody. I'm your man, Steve Harvey.
Oh, was he the man? Was he the man? I remember. Was he? Okay. Was he? Okay.
So I was out of the 100 kids chosen out of 10,000 to be flown out to Florida, all expenses paid. To
Wow.
Meet with Steve Harvey.
Wow.
To meet with Steve Harvey, the Disney company and Essence magazines and a bunch of different media companies to just, go through workshops to kind of cater to our careers. Steve Harvey was, I spoke directly to him just for a quick second, but I also spoke with one of his head managers, and they were
in between the 40 shows that he hosts. He had a moment to speak with you. Yeah.
Girl, you just woo.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
You got it. And it was the transitionary period while he was moving to LA from Atlanta. So I was like trying to be an intern, but like they were still barely, getting the ground rolling. I had to go to college. I had to do all this stuff.
Yeah.
But, maybe I should hit him up. What's up, Steve, if you're watching this?
Never hurts.
Give me a
Never
job.
hurts. Yeah.
Definitely.
Mike says, if you need a running coach, have Mark give you my details. Mike, I think it's in Oklahoma.
Do.
Yeah.
Still, we can Zoom run, right? I need lots of tips. I have
Zoom run. You might be
aren't supposed to be a thing. So I've never exercised until this year. That's why the half marathon. I failed online PE. I didn't get to play sports growing up, and I was like, I need to do something to push myself.
Sure.
And then I'm only going to force myself to run an exercise because it's for the foster kids. Doing it for myself wasn't enough, but now I'm like, wait, I kind of like it. So that worked out too.
Yeah, that's great. I'm not a big one for the gym either, but I know that it's really good for your head too, not just your body. It really is. Because your head and your brain are part of your body. That's what it's explained to me that way. Hey, Nancy, good luck with this. So again, running for foster kids. You can see it right there, lower left of Nancy's screen, running the number 4 foster kids. Google it. Make it happen. Contribute. I'll make a contribution. I know members of my audience will. You're a true shining light and a real treasure. And I think a reflection on how great the foster system can be, and we should embrace that potential. So,
and we'll get it there. We'll get it there.
Come visit again, and we'll talk about what you kids are doing. I want to hear about Coachella. You went to Coachella? You had fun?
I did. I got robbed. But
you got robbed, though, yeah.
Our hotel room.
They robbed out of your hotel room?
Literally, they ripped the safe out of the wall. You cannot make this up at all.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, thankfully, we're all safe. No one's been hurt. I'm trying to remind myself that materials can be replaced. And I still got to see Bad Bunny, so I got my money's worth.
All right, Nancy, everybody. Thanks, Nancy.
Bye, Mark.
Bye-bye.
The Mark Thompson Show.
She's pretty cool, huh? Really
I
something.
love her.
Yeah.
And we'll have all the links in the breakout video. So if you are interested, it'll be in the breakout video. I did put it into the chat, so maybe you could click on it in the chat, not in our private like a banner. But
okay.
Yeah, you could just scroll up. I could post it again if you want me to.
Yeah, that's great. That's helpful. Thank you, Albert. So if you look at the breakout video, it'll be there. But I can't find the.
What's interesting, as someone mentioned, is that you just kind of quietly do these things. You know, you don't mention that you are a mentor, that you played a role in someone's life like that. That's a huge deal.
Well, she's really, you can tell, an extraordinary
amazing
person.
Yeah.
So you can click on that. Is that what you're saying, Albert? On the I don't know how you kids do it with the
It looks
clicks.
like a GoFundMe page, and there's
great.
A whole bunch of links there.
Shout out to the old KGO crew. I just found you, Mark. Says California Bob. Welcome, California Bob. You'll like it here.
There's never been anything like this.
Yeah, there really hasn't been anything like this. We took a radio show and we brought it over here to YouTube. Some moments feel like it's just radio. Some moments feel like it's just, a video thing. I'm wearing this shirt because I'm trying to debut our embroidery. It's not yet available on the site, so give it a week or so. I'm beta testing it right now, but look, the mentor programs are real, and I must tell you, it's sincere when I say I really feel as though, she could do better as a mentor. I wanted to try to get her jobs or get her, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I did get her entree, and I've certainly, provide counsel, and that's sort of been my role. But I feel as though, some of these kids, you just meet them and go, yeah, my mentor is CEO of fill in the blank, and now I'm a vice president at fill in the blank. Oh, well, then that's a pretty good deal. So
what do you think that you have? I mean, I can tell what she's received from the relationship. She's awesome. What do you think you have? I mean, have you gotten anything out of it as well?
Well, you always feel better when you help somebody else. Yeah. You always feel better. And I think, really, the human species in general, I think we're set up socially to feel better when we've helped someone else. I think that's true. I mean, so many people talk about it, that, when you do something or you feel as though you've done something, even just been available, you feel better about, what you've done that day, It's tough because sometimes we're all in a scramble to do whatever, to sustain our own lives, sustain our own projects. But, part of that can be this along the way. So, as I say, I don't think really the demands that she's made on me have been very great at all. I mean, they're pretty minimal. But when she calls, you're available, and you when she needs you, you try to be as and this is, I'm sure, as a parent, you're this way all the time. You try to be as available as you can be and provide whatever you can provide. So right. I think that's sort of what I've done. Florida's coming up, but I wanted to share a couple of things with you. We're going to put Mike Pence off to the side and talk with Avila about Pence. Also want to talk about Title 42 and the expiration of Title 42. That's what's happening at the border. If you don't know all the details, I'll give them to you in the 11 o'clock hour. Essentially, a new system is being put in place as Title 42 winds down, and there's expected to be quite the immigration push. I'll get to that, as I say, with Avila in the 11 o'clock hour. The Equal Rights Amendment was blocked again. Yeah. It's pretty crazy to think that we need it, right? But the U.S. Senate yesterday fell short of the votes needed to enshrine equal rights for women in the Constitution.
Isn't that great? Thank you very much, Congress. Yeah. Appreciate that.
This is a century after a guarantee of gender equality was proposed in Congress. 51-47 was the vote.
Well, I mean, if they're not going to protect my right to choose, why would they protect anything else for me?
Yeah.
And my other lady friends.
The Senate Democrats and supporters, 9 votes shy of the 60 needed for a resolution to clear the 100-member chamber's filibuster hurdle. The resolution would have removed a 1982 deadline for state ratification that prevented the Equal Rights Amendment from going into effect. The 3 states, Nevada, Illinois, and Virginia, approved it after 1982. And this is indeed what was said by so many on the floor, Chuck Schumer among them. He's the top Senate Democrat. He said the ERA was more important since the Supreme Court last year overturned the national right to abortion, to a woman's reproductive rights over her own body. In any case, the arguments are slippery slope arguments. If you approve the ERA, then the next step is going to be making abortion a constitutional amendment. That's kind of the way the argument goes. Passage would have required the support of 9 Republicans in the Senate, obviously. Democrats hold a narrow 51-49 majority. Only 2 Republican senators, Lisa Murkowski from Alaska and Susan Collins of Maine, voted for it. Voted with the Democrats, if you want to think of it that way. So, again, just a bizarre sign of the times, though, that, can't quite clear that hurdle. I was talking a bit yesterday, and I think we've talked all week, because we get sort of the word from various members of the audience that, Elon Musk is involved in so many different things, and so it is here.
The Mark Thompson Show.
The most powerful rocket, the SpaceX Starship that blew up, it got a lot of conversations going around space, exploration, Musk. It also landed in places that added to that controversy and that conversation. A 3.5-acre fire was started in a state park as a result of falling debris from SpaceX. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service on Wednesday of this week began to tally some of these details. In addition to the wildfire, officials say large concrete chunks and sheets of stainless steel were among the objects found thousands of feet away. Officials also found that a plume of pulverized concrete deposited material 6.5 miles northwest of the launch pad. Launched its Starship from Boca Chica, Texas, and that is a launch pad adjacent to the lower Rio Grande Valley. That's a national wildlife refuge. And 4 minutes later, it blew up. So the liftoff alone was considered a success because of the scale of this thing. It's so much power and so much fuel on board. But the explosion has created all of this fallout. About 385 acres of debris at SpaceX's facility. And the assessment of the damage from the SpaceX people is pretty mellow, right? The assessment of the damage from the people who are handling the wildlife refuge is not so mellow. You'll find 11 different biological communities. A rare ocelot. Is it ocelot? Is that how they say it?
I think so.
Ocelot. In these shadowy brushes. It's a beautiful place, apparently. And they try to close highways. They try to keep everybody free of the wreckage and debris area. But, of course, there's no way to warn wildlife, and there's no way to warn the pristine environment below. Anyway, officials are now just beginning to assess that. I mention it because I think it's good to be aware of, the ripple effects. I get it. Maybe you view this as this launch. I know we always, Ocelot, isn't it? Ocelot, isn't that what it is? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good to be aware of it. So I mentioned it in that context too.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Before Florida, I can share one Florida-like piece, which is related to the United States of guns. When you have guns, guns settle every argument, right? I'm not for taking away everybody's gun, please. But I'm just saying when guns are available, readily available, stuff happens with guns, maybe more than it would otherwise. And so it is with this. This Illinois guy using a leaf blower was shot and killed by his neighbor in his driveway. 79 years old, the guy with a gun unloads on this dude with the leaf blower. An Illinois man using a leaf blower on his property was allegedly shot and killed by his neighbor. The latest in a string of shooting victims purportedly is a ding word, targeted while doing everyday tasks. The guy was found dead in the driveway, a gunshot wound to his head, declared dead at a local hospital. After an investigation, authorities concluded that the 79-year-old neighbor, who they say approached him and began arguing with him, grabbed a gun and shot him. This is a 79-year-old man now is going to spend the rest of his life in prison. He's charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, being held without bond in the county jail. I guess they had history. They say there were perceived grievances between the two. But they found the weapon there close to the scene. I hate those leaf blowers. I think they're awful. They're awful for the environment. I don't get even the theory behind them. We used to rake leaves when I was a kid, right? But I can't imagine killing somebody over it. I hate them. I close all the windows and doors that I normally have open because I can't stand that sound. So I understand how it's an irritant. But you can't tell me you would kill somebody over it? Guy shot him in the head.
I mean, if you're going to open fire over someone knocking on the wrong door, I guess a leaf blower isn't too much of a stretch.
I will say separately, okay, with that as a full stop, Kim, I think is so right. But what I will say is those leaf blowers should be banned. They are bad. They're bad for the environment. They blow all this exhaust in the air. All I smell is, they're supposed to. I thought they were outlawing or beginning to outlaw the use of combustion engines or whatever they using gas-powered leaf blowers. I thought they were being, Albert, can you check on that?
Google it. Yeah, they were in California. That's right.
Right, and yet I still see all the gas-powered and smell it. Anyway, that's a separate issue. I'm not saying anybody should be shot over it, okay? Smash the like button like a boss.
With your iron rod.
Smash it with your iron rod.
Smash it with your iron rod.
It is a Friday show. Florida Next. Mark Thompson Show.
The Mark Thompson Show.
The big music. I'm Kim McAllister on The Mark Thompson Show. And let's start at Silicon Valley Bank because new revelation this morning. Really, the Federal Reserve taking part of the blame now for the largest bank failure since 2008. The Fed's vice chair said the agency didn't take forceful enough action against Silicon Valley Bank before its collapse. In addition, the Fed report says regulatory standards for SVB were too low.
We have processes and protocols and standards.
Yeah, by the way, that word was shared on this show by Dylan Ratigan. Remember, we did a whole thing with Dylan Ratigan about the drill down on this, and he said, it was mismanagement on the part of those in control of the bank, and he said that there's no problem with the bailout, but you needed to exact certain things from management when you had the leverage that they needed a bailout. And those things were not exacted. You didn't get any concessions on the way the bank is being managed. So that was his issue with it.
Yosemite, you had mentioned this, Mark. We've got potential flooding. That is the reason the National Park Service is closing Yosemite Park in California for the next few days. The park's shutting tonight at 10 p.m., and it will stay closed through at least Wednesday. The expected flooding, the result of the melting of a record snowfall. So beautiful at Yosemite. Look at that.
Yeah, I really wanted to go, actually, but it's dangerous right now to go.
It is. Also, could be, I don't know if danger is the right word, but the mayor of El Paso, Texas, says he's planning on declaring a state of emergency in preparation for the end of Title 42. Border towns expecting a surge of illegal immigration as the health rule used to expedite deportation ends. Republicans say President Biden's plan to open migration centers in Guatemala and also Colombia is too little, too late.
That is what they want to do, though. They have to do something. It's a surge of immigrants that the country can't handle, and certainly can't process. So
apparently, people are camping at the border, waiting to come in. So
yeah.
This could be like a big flood of people. Mike Pence. Yeah. He is former Vice President Mike Pence testifying in a federal probe about Donald Trump's alleged role in the January 6th riot at the Capitol.
Cuatro años más.
No, thank you. The testimony.
Cuatro caños más. It's años, not caños, but thank you.
I think maybe he meant to say Kanye. I don't know. The testimony comes after former President Trump filed an emergency motion to stop Pence from appearing. That didn't work. The first time, though, in modern history that a vice president was compelled to testify about the president that he served with. Reports say Pence testified for several hours is what happened there. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think up to 7 hours he testified is what I saw.
That's a long one. It's a long one.
He was chirpy.
This is no bueno. A Los Angeles Police Department sergeant recovering today after a man bit off his finger. It happened on a Metro B Red Line train. Police say they'd been on routine patrol, spotted the suspect with drug paraphernalia. When they escorted the guy off the train, he became combative and bit off a portion of the sergeant's finger, allegedly. The officer had to have surgery. He's expected to be okay. Don't know what his finger looks like now. Wow. The suspect is in custody on suspicion of mayhem and resisting an executive order. How about assault or dismemberment?
Maybe bump up those charges a little bit.
Maybe, yeah. But, this is why you wonder why we can't find people to be police officers right now. Because you arrest a guy and you end up with half your finger bitten off.
Exactly. I'm going on a ride along tonight, actually, with the LAPD.
I want to go on one with Sergeant. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to go with SFPD, but haven't been able to get that organized yet. But LAPD, they're taking me tonight to Hollywood, which is to people who don't live in Southern California. Sounds glamorous, but the reality is it's really probably one of the more intense and dangerous places that you can go on a ride along. So we'll see.
Yeah.
But I don't know how these guys do it. I've always said that.
Why are you doing it? Are you was it just a moment that you thought would be fun, or is it for a reason?
No, I don't think it's going to be fun particularly. I think it's going to be interesting. And I'll tell you, I've gone back and forth on whether or not even to do it. But the reason I'm doing it is because I'm emceeing something for the cops, and
okay.
I wanted to. They offered it to me, and I wanted to get a sense. It's been so long since I've been on a ride along. I think I've mentioned I was on a ride along in Compton, and that was really intense. But it wasn't like training day or something. It was just But I'll tell you all about it. I also thought it would be interesting to relate to the audience. And so, I just feel it's going to be interesting. And I wanted to get a sense of what they do.
I'd just like for you to watch your fingers, please. And
Yeah,
thank you.
apparently that's just
Got to do
right,
it.
right.
So UC Berkeley going green, and they're doing it in a new way. Of course, Northern California College in the East Bay expects to be the first in the UC system with a clean energy campus. Means it won't use the existing natural gas powered plant that lights and heats more than 100 buildings. Instead, a central thermal plant will be built to provide electricity. Officials are aiming to have this work done by 2030. They say the goal is to reduce the school's carbon footprint by 80%. So that's
Wow.
good.
Yeah, that's aggressive.
It's Warriors. 2 teams have a chance to clinch their first round NBA series at home tonight.
What's the story, Kamish? Why don't you weigh in on this?
Golden State Warriors have overcome a 2-game deficit to take a 3-2 lead over the Sacramento Kings. The 7th-seeded LA Lakers will try to eliminate the 2nd-seeded Memphis Grizzlies in a game of 6 of their series. Game 6 of their series, I should say.
How do you assess it, Commissioner?
It's looking good. We're playing well. We're not like shooting ourselves in our foot by turning the ball over. And it's an early start today. Just a reminder for everyone. This game starts at 5 p.m., which is ridiculous. But 5 p.m.
What?
Yeah. All right.
And didn't Steph Curry say everyone needs to be in their seats at 5 p.m.? I think he wants it. Like, you can feel it from him. That's
I mean, it'll be nice to win another championship. I'm a Sharks fan, so I'm just happy with anything.
I don't know. I mean, it seems like you're setting yourself up for disappointment there. Like in case they lose. But I don't know. Go Warriors. I hope they. Well,
if they do lose, they still have another chance, so that's a good thing.
Twisted Metal. I don't know if you guys have watched some of these series based on video games, but we've got another one coming. Another video game being made into a TV adaptation. 10 episodes of the series Twisted Metal hitting the Peacock streaming service July 27th. Peacock debuted a teaser trailer for the series starring Marvel actor Anthony Mackie. That looks a little bit freaky.
This is an old game too. I used to play this on the first PlayStation in the late 90s. That's how old this game is. It's weird that they just randomly brought this back 20, 30 years later.
They're going through all their IP saying, what can we do something with? And Twisted Metal is it. Yeah.
That's right. This report and show, the Mark Thompson Show, is crowdfunded. And that means we have to rely on you. You can help keep us going by contributing via Patreon or PayPal. Find the links and so very much more at themarkthompsonshow.com.
So very much more.
Always, baby. I'm Kim McAllister on The Mark Thompson Show.
They had to close down an entire radio station to silence him. And now he's here. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Thompson. The Mark Thompson Show.
Who's Mark Thompson?
I stand corrected. I misspoke. My words upset so many people. My bad. I'm sorry.
Y'all can all go to hell, and I'm going back to Texas.
Joe Fish, Sal the Shoemaker, Joe Box, and Little Anthony.
What he's got going here is a situation. There's a reason that this place is fun.
Someone did this to spoil our Christmas.
I have never heard of something like that.
There is nothing in our history that quite compares to this.
Nobody has ever put something like this together that I've ever seen. We've never seen anything like it before.
I have a busy week.
I think I'm the most honest human being, perhaps, that God ever created.
God bless America. The end.
Girl, you just rude.
Do I hit it long? Is Trump strong? Huh?
Who is having that conversation? How would you handle this?
We could try ignoring it, sir.
The science is ridiculous.
It's fantastic.
word from the Lord, and he's not happy.
Where are my weed smokers at?
Isn't anybody but a weed?
It was wrong, it was stupid, and I'm trying to be a better person.
Seriously, what the
Yeah, what up? Seriously, what up, everybody? It is our Friday show. Albert is back. Kim is in. And, of course, on Fridays, although I was told that he wasn't going to be here this week. That's why I didn't, promote it. But apparently, fabulous producer John Daly, who has Shawshank Redemptioned himself out of the four walls of broadcasting and made it into legit
one
life.
spoonful at a time, right?
Yeah, that's right. It took a long time, but we welcome him also. So John Daly, please, you are a great asset always, particularly to Florida. John, I know you'll be honest with me. I mean, I'm wearing the prototype of the Mark Thompson
very red shirt.
Very red shirt. It is. They gave me all the different colors, but I thought the red would really pop.
It does pop. You know what it reminds me of? You remember red shirts on the original Star Trek? What that signified?
It meant that you were going to be
first.
You're not going to be making it back with the landing party.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you may be right. Well,
fabulous producer John Daly.
I may be. God, I never thought of it in that context. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Mark, you remember when we met?
Oh, that's the Star Trek.
Mark, you remember when we met?
Yeah.
And I asked you to be my mentor, and you stopped returning my phone calls?
Look, you have to know, where there's potential and where there's not. I mean, there's you seem to have
that's weird. Must be the wrong phone number.
My bad. I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly. Smash the like button for John Daly, everybody.
With your iron rod.
Those who are regulars are familiar with this segment. Those who are new, once a week on Fridays, we like to call the news from a state that always serves up something interesting, reptilian nonsense, bizarre laws, lawlessness.
Alligators.
It never disappoints. Yeah.
Yep.
This is Friday Fabulous Florida.
It's time for Friday Fabulous Florida.
There is a gigantic alligator in my kitchen.
A look at the weirdest stories from our weirdest state.
A Florida guy found with meth inside an M&M Minis container, everyone.
Ooh, it's a wild idea. Just might
work.
It's a perfect little container for your
It really
stash.
is. It's hard to imagine that they don't make a meth container like
flip
that
cap
already.
lid. I
Yeah.
mean,
You know where you have to go? You have to go to the Container Store.
Where they're accepting your 20% off Bed Bath & Beyond coupon.
Yesterday, I mentioned that I didn't really understand the Container Store, and I didn't understand how it did so well. And I thought it might even be a front for some kind of other underworld activity. And Kim says she loves the Container Store.
Yeah.
She defended the Container Store. I didn't attack it. I was just saying I don't quite understand it. I mean, I don't get how many baskets and whatever plastic containers can you have for under the bed? And you would have thought I had insulted the Pope. Man, I got so much email. Mark, I love the Container Store. It's my favorite store. It's like...
When if you think about it, the Container Store is one big container.
It is, right. They start with a large container and they go down from
very
there.
Meta.
Yeah.
Home organization.
Meth Minis, says Joe Box. Very strong.
Nice.
Yeah. Anyway, he's from Pensacola, and they caught him with meth and other stuff, drug paraphernalia of one sort or another, inside an M&M Minis container in a Winn-Dixie parking lot. We don't hear enough about the Winn-Dixies.
I think M&M could use that as a marketing strategy.
No.
Ooh, it's a wild idea, but it just might work.
It just won't work. A Florida man is charged with killing and dismembering his Uber Eats driver.
Well, that doesn't sound like a good
And
meal.
when you see him, you'll go, well, he looks like you'd put him in the category of most likely to kill and dismember an Uber Eats driver. He is that. Albert, can you put up his picture? There it is.
Oh, he's a
right?
cannibal. He's a cannibal.
I mean, he screams trouble. He's charged with murder, other offenses, slaying and then dismembering an Uber Eats driver who had brought food to his house.
Do you think the driver forgot like the sauce?
Like what set him off?
Right.
Oscar Solis Jr., 30 years old, killed a driver during a delivery Wednesday in Holiday, Florida. Everything in Florida is named so ironically.
Did he eat the guy?
Well, the remains were found at the house in trash bags and a cooler. The cooler also contained a receipt with Solis's name on it. It was a horrific crime of passion, one of the cops said. This was demonic. What he did was demonic.
Crime of passion? Like his passion?
Like
no.
Emotion.
Oh, yeah, but it's
emotion. That's what they mean. The other side of town, there's something else going on. Florida nudists may be under attack, Kim.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
By the meth people?
A Tallahassee-based lobbyist whose clients include big organizations. And among those organizations, the American Association for Nude Recreations in Florida.
Like the nude cruise.
And South Florida Free Beaches. They say, that Tallahassee-based lobbyist group, that pending bills in the Florida legislature could potentially be used against nudists. Nudists fear that some activities they do naked, which they see as healthy, freeing, and non-sexual, could be unfairly criminalized.
What?
Florida is home to 4 clothing-optional beaches, as I don't probably need to tell all of you.
There's never been anything like this.
Pasco County, home to the 200-acre Lake Como nudist resort, is considered a nude mecca.
What?
If,
2 bills.
If I put up a picture of a nude beach, do we have to put an X rating on the show? I won't do it.
I have 2 producers here. Albert, I'll ask you first. You are the reigning.
I would refrain from that.
Refrain from nudity?
Okay.
Yeah, probably.
Albert, thank you.
Right now it's mating season, and they're hungry.
The legislation, for example, that's to regulate drag shows, that's that whole thing down there. That bill would criminalize exposing children to an adult live performance, defined to include any presentation in front of a live audience which depicts or simulates nudity. And that's how it hits the nudist community. Anyway, that's a big deal in Florida, particularly if you're a nudist.
Well, they're not just depicting nudity.
Yeah.
Do you think they lobby nude when they go to Tallahassee? Like
that would be the attention getter. Yeah.
Girl, you just moved.
Large gators are caught by trappers after a man is attacked. He was near a pond, and that's where they hang out. It is in Sanibel, not far from Fort Myers. The Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission said a 37-year-old man was bitten by a gator in a pond. Man was not seriously hurt. Trappers were called out and captured a 9-foot gator.
Ooh, that's a big one.
That really is. There it is. This is the gator being...
Why would you go near that water?
That's
not
my
just
point.
A pond. That's like a swamp.
Yeah.
With mud. And
now you haul the gator out of there? Come
death.
on, dude. I don't know. I guess you have to. There's so many gators, but that's.
Do you have to? Is it like once they get a taste for blood, they don't go back? Or can you just let him live out his life in the pond and put a sign up that says, gators are here. Check yourself before you take a swim.
Before you wreck yourself.
It's right. Indeed.
Yeah, I know, man. I don't know the answer to that. I don't know why they kill them. I really don't.
Make sure you're wearing your red shirt when you go down there.
I got.
You're a target, friend.
My red shirt may not see the second hour. I like it for the first hour. It does feel very Star Trek. He's not coming back. I agree. A Florida man is in excruciating pain tonight, they say in the story. After he was attacked. What was he attacked by? I'll give you your choices. Knife-wielding meth addict.
Boring.
Alligator in a retirement community. Killer ant. Or deranged lady coming out of a bar. He was attacked by one of those. Deranged lady coming out of a bar, killer ant, meth addict, or alligator.
And this was in a retirement community this happened?
No. I didn't give you any details. All I said is a Florida man is in excruciating pain after being attacked by... Your shirts give me a migraine, says Buck. How dare you? It's a lot of red, though. You're right. Killer ant, says Montreal 4. Killer ant, says Grady. Deranged lady, says John Slade. Lady from a bar, says Karen Cooper. Deranged lady, please.
As well.
Deranged lady, says John Daly. Killer ants. Deranged lady, says Sharon. The actual retail price is Florida man in excruciating pain after being stung by a killer ant, everyone. That is what we wanted.
Okay.
It's the cow killer, they call it.
Ow.
Eric Brewer shared his experience of being stung by the notorious cow killer velvet ant. You can see here in photos, if you're listening, go to YouTube and you can actually see the photos that we have. I rode my motorcycle to the Publix on Route 27, very well done, in Davenport, Florida. As I dismounted my bike and took 1 or 2 steps, I was stung. It felt like someone burning me with a cigarette on my inner right thigh.
Oh.
I immediately slapped my leg and the insect fell out of my pant leg.
Yow.
Velvet ants, I don't need to tell you, Kim, are also known as cow killer ants. They're a family of insects that can be found throughout North America, and despite their name, they're actually a family of wasps.
Oh.
Here's what they look like. I had no idea. Never seen one of those
with
before.
Your iron rod.
It
Although the wingless,
looks like a red wasp.
Yeah, they do. The wingless females do look more like an ant than the winged striped yellow jackets that we know.
Wow.
I'd never seen this type of insect before. I haven't
never
seen one.
anything like this before.
I've never seen anything like this.
There's never been anything like this.
Thank you very much.
Nobody has ever put something like this together.
There's never been anything like this.
All right.
There is nothing in our history
you.
that quite compares
Yeah.
to this.
Have you ever seen anything like this?
All right.
We've never seen anything like it before.
Okay. I think we get the idea. There are roughly 435 species of velvet ant in North America, roughly 50 species of them in Florida alone, according to the University of Florida. These are, not that you want to know, well, just because I've started the thought, they lay their eggs on other unsuspecting insects, and
So they're just a-holes.
They really are. There's not much to
monsters.
recommend them. Yeah, there's really not much to recommend them, got to say. And finally, a Florida woman pleading guilty in the killer clown case. And this is an interesting case, and I might actually ask the commissioner to help lead us through some of the details. But essentially, a clown comes to this woman, Marlene Warren's door, hands her carnations and balloons, and then shoots her. And this was many years ago. And this week, her husband's second wife finally pleaded guilty to being that killer clown. Isn't that essentially it, Commissioner?
Yeah, that's correct. So the killer was actually married the husband, the widower in the story. So very crazy story.
She, to be clear, she shot the first wife. So now the guy's single. She then marries the guy who is now single because she shot the first wife. Isn't that kind of what happened?
Yeah, took matters into her own hands.
Yes, and the thing that makes it a little quirky in Florida is that she was wearing this clown mask and delivered these carnations when she shoots the wife. Isn't that it?
Yeah, that's Florida. I'm surprised there wasn't anything. I'm surprised there wasn't anything else involved in this, but it's a very straightforward, creative in a sense, in Florida's sense, killing.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal.
Oh my God!
Yeah, it is a pretty oh my God situation.
Sounds like a story for Courtney.
It does. It's it's half a click off Dateline, I gotta say. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It feels a little, but it took that long to bring her to justice. She killed her back in the 90s. Anyway, you wouldn't think it'd be interesting to know some of the details, because you wouldn't think that a clown mask and, some BS cover story would be able to, to cover your tracks for that long. Anyway.
Apparently the clown mask is effective.
Yeah, apparently it does work, That is our collection of Friday Fabulous Florida stories. However, we are not done. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. I have one last one. A Florida man, and this is not one that is just, I'm glad I got to this. A Florida man dies after shooting himself during a traffic stop in North Myrtle Beach. Anthony Vance Sees of Newport Richey, Florida, suspected of shooting at somebody else earlier, and then his car was seen speeding off, and finally again at a parking lot of a La Quinta. The car left the parking lot, pulled into a gas station where officers identified the passenger in the vehicle as this guy, according to cops. The driver of the car cooperated with cops, got out of the car, left this other guy behind. He didn't cooperate with cops. And what did he do? Yeah. He shot himself with his handgun in the upper left chest. He was given aid at the scene.
What can you tell us about the scene?
Does anything good happen at the La Quinta? I mean, no.
No. La Quinta parking lot is, you got to get out of that parking lot. He was 58 years old, and that's Friday Fabulous Florida. We end with the self-inflicted gun wound. It's kind of grim, but that is, it happened at the La Quinta Inn. Look, I don't want to, and it's a little tough this week.
Yeah.
But we have to choose a favorite. I'll remind you some of the stories that you've just heard. Florida man found with meth inside the M&M Minis container. The demonic, as he's called, Florida man who's charged with killing and dismembering the Uber Eats driver. The Florida nudists who are concerned over proposed legislation. The large gator caught by trappers after he attacked a man near a pond. The Florida dude in excruciating pain after being stung by a cow killer ant. The Florida woman finally pleading guilty many years later to the killer clown murders after that love triangle shooting. And the Florida man shooting himself during that traffic stop in North Myrtle Beach. A lot of gunplay today, a lot of grimness today. We don't want to do it, but we must pick a favorite. I'll start with you, fresh-faced producer, Commissioner Albert.
I gotta go with the killer clown, because it's such an obvious and not creative murder, but it was effective. So,
yeah,
kudos to her. She almost got away with it.
All right.
Well, most people don't get dressed up for the murder, so I mean, there's effort there, right?
Is that your choice as well, John Daly?
No, I'm going to go for meth minis.
No,
I like the innovative thinking.
John Daly.
Yeah.
It's strong.
It's all about marketing.
Meth minis is very strong right out of the chute. I can't
We might have
blame
to
you.
get in touch with Get Mark merch for the meth minis.
Yeah, for your meth holder.
GetMarkMeth.com.
Get your meth holder.
Killer Ant says, Sharon, what do you say, Kim? What do you
I'm
think?
going for killer ants as well. I have never seen a cow killer velvet ant in my life, and it's just another reason I won't be going to Florida.
There's never been
We've
anything
never
like
seen
this.
anything like it before.
Yeah. This is a tough one in its own weird way. I'm going to go against the pack. I'm going to go with the nudists. Yeah. How about that? I'm going with the nudists.
Shocking.
Yeah.
Again, you have the wrong visual of nudists in your head.
Maybe you're right. I think I always think of them as perhaps a bit more attractive than they actually are. That's Friday Fabulous Florida for today.
This has been Friday Fabulous Florida.
There is a gigantic alligator in my kitchen.
Y'all come back now here.
Fun to see you, John. We are a little bit late, but we appreciate you hanging out with us.
Have a great weekend, everybody.
Yeah. John Daly, everyone. We'll see you next week. I hope. Yeah. Right on, right on, right on.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Well, Albert, I have put you in a very tough spot, and I'm really sorry on your day back here because we are a little late, and I want to get to Jim Avila. I also want to honor our news commitment, which we have through Kim. What do you think we should do?
I'm thinking we gotta just go straight to Jim here, and we'll do a supersized news.
All right. Are you okay with that, Kim?
I'm used to it by now. Absolutely. I always want me some Avila. Bring it on.
Show.
All right. Yeah, smash the like button like a boss for a guy who is
with your iron rod.
the former senior correspondent at ABC News. Damn it. He's got the Peabody Awards and the Emmy Awards, and it's like, my God. He lives in one big award display case. But he's a modest man. And he is so lovely to spend time with us on Fridays. Jim Avila, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Thanks,
that's
Kim.
a great shot. Yes, Kim, Mr. Avila thanks you for yielding your time.
Always.
The testimony of the day might have been yesterday, Jim Avila, the Mike Pence testimony. Finally, much anticipated. It was he pushed back initially. It's a weird cross current in Mike Pence, right? I mean, he's both trying to push back against the subpoenas for his testimony on J6, and yet he sort of has talked about what happened. He spoke about it in his book. He spoke about it in interviews promoting his book. Give me your take on this, also in relation to the investigation and where we might go from here. Like, what should we expect?
Well, it seems like what Mike Pence wants to do is have that chyron underneath him that says reluctant witness, so that he can kind of thread the needle with the independents who want to hear what really went on in January 6th, the more moderate Republicans who want to hear what really went on in January 6th, and still not alienate the base, which he hopes to, especially the Christian right, which Trump has held on to, but he held on to it because of Pence. So Pence is trying to get some of that back. He testified, some estimates are up to between 5 and 7 hours yesterday and before the grand jury. We, of course, don't know exactly what he said, but it doesn't seem as though it would take 7 hours for him to take the fifth or to avoid answering. It does appear as though he did answer questions, and that could be damaging to former President Trump. So, it was a big day for justice, I think. Even though he was kind of dragged kicking and screaming in there, he promised that he would tell the truth. So let's see, how it comes out. It does also signal that they're getting close, and it really is a slog, and it really is testing our patience. But as long as it happens before the election in 2024, I think that it's well worth the effort. I think Jack Smith is building a strong case. He's had very good witnesses before the grand jury, and I think Donald Trump is in big trouble there and also in Georgia. And Georgia should be coming up in July. So
right. You think that even though there's sort of been, I think, an institutional reluctance to charge a former president, you think we've reached a weight of testimony and evidence and a moment that just speaks to sort of the inevitability of charging a former president?
I think we're to the point where it's a matter of when, not if. And I really think that, well, first of all, New York kind of broke through that don't charge a president thing, and it kind of took the heat and survived and will certainly proceed with their charges. I think that makes it a little bit easier for Jack Smith and for certainly Atlanta to go forward. So I think that's a good thing. A lot of people were upset that New York went first, but these are not choreographed Hollywood things. These are as they become ready and available. We've now learned a little bit more about the logistics about Georgia, about why they're waiting, because they have to wait for the next grand jury to panel, and that's in July, and they'll do it then, sometime between July and September, according to the DA there, who has already sent out a memo saying to the law enforcement to get ready for problems. So that certainly indicates there's not going to be a lot of problems and protests and people rushing the court if Donald Trump is not indicted. There'll be some protests probably, but I don't think that would be the danger that she's signaling about these about indictments. And I think what's good about Georgia is it's not just going to be Trump. I think we're going to see Giuliani, possibly Lindsey Graham, who are in big trouble. Certainly Sidney Powell down there, and that's going to be a good thing. We just have to be. I'm as frustrated as the next guy, but we got to be patient. The law works very slowly. Look what we found out about what's going to happen in New York. It's going to be December before the next hearing in New York, even though the indictment came down. These things do not move quickly. Yeah. And, it's going to be slow. And Trump is trying to make it slow and slow.
And the other case, of course, in New York is the E. Jean Carroll case. I mean, that's it's brutal to listen to those details. I always hate when you read about the cross-examination of a woman who is involved in a rape case, because there's sort of this this disquieting, to be polite about it, way that these women are cross-examined and sort of raked over again. How come you didn't scream? How come you waited so long? And look, but this case isn't even about that, right? It's about what he said about her after that.
Right. The basis is that he raped her. Sure. And he, look, she's held up well despite the aggressive, vicious cross-examination by Joe Tacopina, who I know, have interviewed him several times. And he's a ruthless guy. And he, is one of those guys who is going to defend his client at all costs. And that's what he's doing. I guess that's what he's paid for. But, when she had some good answers. Why didn't you scream? Not everybody screams, she says. I don't scream. I'm not a screamer. It doesn't matter if I screamed. He raped me, were her answers to that. And I think, maybe I'm wrong, but I think that's going to resonate with the jury. She seemed to hold on to her composure mostly. She did cry during some of that testimony, but I'm not sure that hurts her. He has been reprimanded in front of the jury, Tacopina several times for his conduct. That when the judge talks to an attorney and reprimands them, the jury hears that. The jury identifies they're on the judge's side most of the time. And that's not a good thing, having covered a lot of trials. So I think that hurts him. The judge has publicly rebuked Donald Trump and kind of shut him up after that first foray into Truth Social, when he was demeaning the process and demeaning the judge and also the plaintiff in this case, E.G. Carroll. The judge went after him, and he has been quiet since. So let's see if that lasts.
Yes, rebuked and foray, both ding words. Well done. I want to welcome him now. Your partner on Fridays here.
All right.
He was, I guess, he's able to now get free. Michael Shure is part of the scene.
Sadly, I'm free. I'm glad, of course, to be here, but would have been the other thing would have been good too. But anyway,
well, I don't know if you can leave us with that, but all right, I don't know what that is. The other thing, I don't know if you can say, but you need to make something up now because it
was a free cruise.
All right.
Well, you're better off here.
You've arrived just in time.
And I had my hair all great, and then I thought, you know what? It's the NHL playoffs. I'm going to put on a hockey hat. So
yeah, good for you. Yeah. Where do they stand? We'll talk about it afterward. I want to. You've come at a good time because I wanted to. I was just talking to Jim about the former president and the Pence testimony, which we don't really know much about, but we know the length of it. And I think, as Jim correctly said, you don't spend 5 to 7 hours in front of a grand jury if you're just taking the fifth or if you're not saying much. I mean, I think he clearly was chirpy. But
it sounded like there was a lot of that time was taken up by the judge talking to the attorney as well.
Does the other big news of this week, which was the announcement by Joe Biden that he will run again, doesn't that signal sort of the beginning of a new kind of hand-wringing that the Democratic Party is going to have to do? I mean, you're looking at polling numbers that are weak. You're looking at, and you can tell me how significant these things are. The other entrance into the Democratic, he'll be primaried, Biden. I'm talking about the other entrants being Robert Kennedy Jr., Marianne Williamson. These are not people who are complete throwaways. Kennedy's got 14%, I think, in the latest poll I saw. So give me the state of the state on Biden and just his, how viable a candidate he actually is.
I mean, he's the United States president and the incumbent, which makes him viable right off the bat. Not every election is a referendum. Most are choices. And when America is faced with a choice, it is fairly clear that they will not choose Donald Trump. It doesn't mean that everyone's going to love voting for Joe Biden or that's going to bring out a lot of energy. Democrats that I've spoken to have said that one of the most encouraging signs that they have right now is that these social issues like the Dobbs decision, like what happened in Tennessee and the silencing of voices, is taking young voters into the forum in a way that they haven't been in quite a while. It's similar to what Donald Trump did in 2016. He brought a lot of voters into his fold that hadn't been involved in politics, new voters, that sort of thing. And they feel like that's going to happen with Democrats. Of course, they're going to paint the optimistic picture. But again, and Jim has said this all along, and I'm wrong because I have said that I think that the president would not, I thought that the president would not run again. But being that he is, and it seems like he will, this is going to be a choice election. And when you have to make a choice, and one of the choices is Donald Trump, America has said most recently that they're not in favor of that. Republicans are starting to say it in some numbers, but not significant ones. And that's why I think that if Donald Trump is able to lose this primary, then we have a very different election on our hands. I think a lot of Democrats would prefer to see Donald Trump as the nominee, even if they can't say that. And it's hard to say. That's, I think, what you run into.
I'm so glad that you mentioned. Yeah, go ahead, Jim.
I just think Michael's right. I think again, this will be with Trump versus Biden, an anti-Trump vote, and that will in fact energize the Democratic base like it did last time. Nobody wants to see independents or Democrats are really looking forward to seeing another Trump presidency. So as long as he's the Republican candidate, Biden is fine, unless Biden has a health problem or he has, he shows more difficulty in performing. So far he's done pretty well. I mean, he hasn't, we all sit on the edge of our seats when he's ad-libbing or speaking, but he hasn't really done anything that bad. So his policies, and his policies are popular. The American public is anti-gun, pro-life, and those two things will continue to push the election toward the Democrats. Would I love to see a different candidate, an Amy Klobuchar, a Kamala Harris, a Gavin Newsom, a younger breed go up against the Republicans? I would, but it's not going to happen. The presidency, who was it that wrote the column? There was a column I read just recently about explaining how difficult it is for an incumbent president to step away. They bring you, you don't do anything. You ride an Air Force One. These perks are amazing, and there's something that you've tried for all your career. Biden's been trying to be president since he was in his 30s, and he got it. Is he going to walk away from it unless he has to? No, he's not going to. And I think that he's going to stay, and I think he will win if it's Trump.
Mark, let me just add, first of all, we've been on the edge of our seats, those who have watched Joe Biden, I would say for about 35 years, not necessarily since he's been president, because he's always been prone to that. One thing that I forgot to mention that I think is under the radar a little bit, which I think helps, is Bernie Sanders. And Bernie Sanders said this week that he's not running for president. Not only that, he urged that there not be a progressive challenge to Joe Biden. And I think that is somehow an under the radar story, or my radar was pointed in the wrong direction, because I think that matters in an election where you have Democratic voters looking for another option. And many of those voters are looking to Bernie to see what that other option is going to be. And those people are told, you know what, this time we have to support the president because of what his platform is and where he stands on the issues. I think that's important.
There's a loud progressive wing of the independents and the Democrats even. Are they disheartened by this? I mean, it's interesting that, there's politics changing so quickly. It's influenced by, so much of an online following. There's so many political leaders who aren't wearing coats and ties and having press conferences on Capitol Hill or in state legislatures. They are there online with millions of followers, Yeah. I wonder if the angry progressives, of which there is no shortage, can do what they did, I think, in 2016, which is convince enough people that, your choice is not good enough with Joe Biden in this instance.
They need the galvanizing figure. American history is full of people who have been the personalities that galvanize a movement for a moment, and I think that's what is going to lack when you look at the progressive movement right now. Not that there's a shortage of those personalities and accomplished people and bright sort of stars. It's just that it takes a minute to galvanize those people. I don't think it's going to happen in the next 15 months.
I want to quickly move on, because I only have a couple of minutes, to something else related to Biden and Congress and how you could tank this economy and, in so doing, I suppose, score some political points by not raising this debt ceiling. Jim Avila, I mean, I know this taking us to the brink thing is something that has been done before, but it feels as though that party, the Republican Party, is more being controlled by crazies who really might not care about losing the game of chicken or whatever. They're just, it feels as though we're closer to that brink than ever. Is that just my feeling? How do you handicap this?
Well, this all gets very wonky, but not passing the debt ceiling or allowing the United States to default is such a major thing that even a spineless guy like Kevin McCarthy is not going to really let that happen. I don't think it's going to happen. I think you're going to have a lot of, it's going to cause more trouble in the GOP than it's going to cause in the country, because the GOP is going to go at each other. McCarthy's going to try to find some way out, and his real right people like Marjorie Taylor Greene are going to push him to the brink, maybe cause him to lose his speakership. I think that's more of a problem than more of a likelihood than a default.
What concessions might this administration have to actually agree to?
They're not going to concede. They're not going to concede. They have the high ground. They're not going to concede to cutting Social Security or cutting the Defense Department or cutting these, making these cuts that are going to hurt American people. I don't think the administration is going to do it. Period. Michael might have better.
Michael, you think there'll be no concessions on the part of the administration?
I don't see what would behoove them to make concessions. I mean, Joe Biden, the only thing that would is that Joe Biden likes the art of the deal, and that, even though that's not his book title, he does like what the Senate and Congress do with the White House. But now that he's on the White House, used to be, what they used to be, and now that he's in the White House, though, that changes, and presidents have said that it changes when they get there. So I don't see any reason that they would, in fact, do that. And the White House, and if the concessions are there, I'm guessing that they would not be major.
That's not what I wanted.
By the way, this gets pretty wonky. Is Jim's pickup line? His go-to.
And I can't tell you how many times it's worked, Michael.
The Republicans are not proposing to cut Medicare or Social Security as part of their debt ceiling plan. No, they're proposing to get rid of SNAP. They're proposing to get rid of
Medicaid.
Not
Medicare, but Medicaid. They're pulling people, trying to pull people off that. They're trying to pull people off food stamps. They're doing things that will hurt the American public.
But not just the American public. What they're doing is they're doing surgery on what they think will affect the other side and not their side. So if you're going to get rid of entitlements, well, Republicans get Social Security as well, and they get Medicare as well. But when you're going after the voters who are most interested in what's happening on the other side, you get rid of SNAP, you get rid of Medicaid, or you cut them. You do those damages on that side where it's not going to affect your popularity. In fact, it might increase it within your own caucus.
Behoove, Julie is saying, is a ding word. One of you said behoove, I guess.
I might have.
You might have said it. Finally, in our last minute, I want to talk about the border. So, look, the border is something that, frankly, neither party has had a handle on, really, solutions when it comes to illegal immigration, when it comes to the overwhelming demand to come to this country. Neither party. Both parties, I think, have used it as a cudgel. Probably the GOP has used it with this open border thing, as they typically do, messaging quite effectively with the Democrats in the barrel on immigration. So now it's suggested again, there is, with Title 42 winding down. Title 42, of course, was really holding back immigrants, illegal immigrants and legal immigration to this country. But with a porous border, with the issues we have, and now with this new suggestion that there will be, it's a policy, they'll set up essentially places in, is it Guatemala, Colombia, where you can apply for legal immigration status to this country. The idea is, don't come here. We've got places, we're coming to you to set up a legal process for you to immigrate. Everything feels insufficient to the problem, but with this lengthy preamble, I'm asking you, this is a looming problem, and it will be used as a political issue as well as being a real thing that's going to affect this country in a lot of different ways. Jim?
Look, Mark, this was my specialty, okay? I covered the border. I covered during the Obama administration, which was the last time there was an effort for a comprehensive immigration reform. In 2015, senators from the Republican Party and the Democratic Party, including Lindsey Graham, including Marco Rubio, stood with the Democrats to try to pass a comprehensive immigration reform that would have fixed the problem, gave more money to patrol the border, more border agents, $18 billion to patrol the border as has never been before, and allowed for a path to citizenship for those who are already here. The Tea Party wing of the party and the Republican killed it in the House, and it's been dead ever since. So to say both parties, I think, is not fair. The Republican Party continues to use this as a straw man, and it's their issue. They will not do anything to try to fix it. If they wanted to fix it, they would go back to the comprehensive immigration reform and pass real laws that increase the number of judges to listen to sanctuary sanctuary claims, which is now like a 10-year delay, which allows people to come here and stay for 10 years without a court hearing. But the Republicans do not want to fix it. They like the idea of seeing these caravans and everything else to use as banter for their elections. So I don't think you can blame the Democrats for this. I think the Democrats are ready to sit down and hammer out a comprehensive immigration reform that includes more border patrol, but the Republicans won't do it.
Michael?
Well, first of all, they should ding cudgel. I don't know if you ever get dinged.
Oh, you're right. I didn't. Thank you.
The other thing is that and it's not necessarily my specialty. I've spent a lot of time on the border and in Central America covering the issue of immigration and migration. And what this and Jim is right. I mean, it's disingenuous for the Republican side to say that they have done an equal amount in terms of curing a problem. This problem is a good problem for them because it makes great political fodder and election fodder. One of the reasons the Biden administration at least gave lip service to wanting to try to solve this problem at the roots of immigration, which would be Guatemala and Honduras and El Salvador and Mexico, and setting these places up, is that a lot of these people are fleeing those places, literally, especially young single women and young single mothers who are, according to their testimony, being raped, being threatened, violence happening to their husbands and significant others because people want control of them. Staying there and waiting the process out in Tegucigalpa is not a solution for a lot of these people, right? I mean, incentivizing the reason to stay, fighting the crime, fighting the corruption in those countries, that's a different conversation. But saying, okay, you can apply here in the capital, just wait a couple of years and then you can go there. A lot of them need to get out of there. And that's why they migrate and go through this harrowing journey through jungles in other countries. So sure. it does gloss over that a bit.
That's interesting. Yeah, they're fleeing for their lives. That's a great thing to remind us of. And the other thing I would say is that this administration, to be fair to them, has thrown a lot of money and thrown even some institutional concepts at trying to cure some of those things that you're talking about. So when you say, you talk about those very real threats, this administration has addressed that. I mean, I thought that was sort of, sadly for her, Kamala Harris's desk being filled up with all of this stuff that, hey, you're going down to solve the immigration problem in Central. Good luck. But that was an attempt to actually do that, to try to change the nature of life in those places that they're fleeing from. Go ahead,
and it's
Jim.
not only Central America nowadays. Cubans they've lost the right to come into the United States like they used to. They had a special program for Cubans. All they had to do was set foot in the United States, and they were granted visas. Now they have to do like everybody else, and they're coming across to South America or Central America, making their way through Mexico. Haitians are coming through. Venezuelans. Even we're seeing a lot of people from the Mideast, Asians. People.
Yeah, when you're on the border, you see so many that's so true.
Yeah, so it's not just. Yeah, you can. In fact, the number of Guatemalans and El Salvadorans coming through nowadays is dwarfed by the Haitians and the Venezuelans. So, it's a problem that has to be looked at in a global way and not used as a political hammer. But it's not. It's being used for that. And look, we live in a pretty much, compared to these other places, great country. People have tried to come here since the beginning of our country. They're going to continue to try to come here. At one point, there were people, the Irish, who were coming in through Canada and then down through. It's not a new problem, but because, and this goes into racism, because many of these people are brown and black now, it really has become, a political issue.
Very well said. I so appreciate you guys taking time. Michael, thank you for scooting in here. And I wish we had time to review the hockey, but we do not. We're late.
Okay.
But I will talk to you next Friday. Jim and Michael both reachable on social media. So if you take issue with them, do it on social media. Leave them alone here. Most of the time, you get nothing but love here. So, thank you, boys. Appreciate it.
All right.
Michael Shure, Jim Avila. Yeah.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Kim, welcome. Kim, everybody. Kim, I figure so the first hour you're kind of getting fixed up, right? And then you're camera ready for the second hour. Is that kind
sounds
of
about right? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I figure that's the way I handicapped it. It's fine. No big deal.
Yeah. I figure it's all right as long as it's eventual, right?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
I really want the first hour focus to be on you, Mark. You and your red shirt. Yeah,
well,
I don't want to take anything away from that. No.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Whatever you say.
What?
All right, so Kim's news. Then we get an update on what to watch this weekend. I will advise all of our stations. We might be running long today. I want to get the Culture Blaster, all of his news. I want to get all that Culture Blaster news.
Do you want a quick news segment,
no,
or do
I want you to do the damn newscast the way you were going to do it.
All right, then.
I want you to be you.
Okay.
Girl, you just woo. Smash the like button for Kim.
Smashed it with your iron rod.
She's on camera now, so it's even. This is her big finish before she does Nikki's show.
Go back to my picture.
No, I think it's it's the visual medium.
Yeah.
I talked to somebody. They said, "Dude, what is it? I mean, whoever's your news person is, she's not even on camera."
Really?
I said, "Well, she's on camera part of the show. Sometimes to start the show, she's not. I don't think
here and there."
And then Albert told me. I think Albert, who's in touch with a lot of things, he said sometimes people aren't on camera. It's not a big deal. So I think it's fine. I want you to know that as host, it doesn't bother me.
Okay.
But I do want people to smashed
it with your iron rod.
Yeah, I think the iron rod smash is very, very strong. All right, so Kim's news. Then we'll get into the Culture Blaster. Kim, you are gorgeous on a Friday. It's great to have you. Mark Thompson.
The Mark Thompson Show.
On the Mark Thompson Show, I'm Kim McAllister. Let's start with this chopper crash. Why don't we? This happened it was a mid-air crash, and it looks like this Army helicopter accident, mid-air collision, killed 3 people and injured 1. The collision between 2 Apache helicopters happened Thursday afternoon about 100 miles south of the soldiers' home base of Fort Wainwright, Alaska, is where it happened. 2 of the soldiers died on the scene. The 3rd died on the way to the hospital in this mid-air collision. Horrible. Russia and Iran are facing now some new sanctions from the United States over wrongfully detained Americans. The sanctions targeted Russia's security service and Iran's military intelligence agency. This comes after the recent detention of Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich in Moscow. Lawyers for President Trump said the woman accusing him of rape came forward, they say, just to sell more copies of her book. E. Jean Carroll was on the witness stand yesterday and was cross-examined by Trump's lawyers. They grilled her about why she didn't scream during the alleged assault in a department store dressing room. After numerous questions about it, Carroll said, "He raped me whether I screamed or not." Speaking of Trump, the founder of a second firm hired by the Trump campaign is now telling the Washington Post, you know what? No evidence was found of widespread voter fraud in the 2020 election. This is Simpatico Software Systems. They were reportedly paid about $750,000 by the Trump campaign to investigate alleged fraud. Simpatico president Ken Block told the Post he recently received a subpoena from special counsel Jack Smith, who's investigating the former president's push to overturn the 2020 election. And again, this company paid by the Trump campaign to investigate voter fraud say they found no evidence. So
that's just what they, as you say, the second go round on Trump's dime, and they can't find anything.
We take the batteries out of the big lie, right? Yeah,
I love it. The batteries out of the big lie.
Isn't that cute? I love it.
I didn't know what it was. I'm glad you explained it. I'm so thick that I didn't get it.
I thought that was a clever shot. Yeah.
It is a clever shot now that you tell me.
Also, speaking of Trump, it's like a little chunk of Trump in the middle of the newscast. New video shows former President Trump apparently embracing this woman who served jail time for her actions during the Capitol riot. During a campaign stop at a New Hampshire dinner Thursday, this woman was introduced to Trump as a January 6er, Jan 6er. Two posed for a picture together. He told her, hang in there, adding she'd been through too much. He also signed a backpack that she said she was carrying during the riots. She was found guilty of resisting efforts by police to clear Capitol grounds during the insurrection and was sentenced to 180 days in jail.
Seriously, what the
Yeah, that's the truth. In an interview with NBC News, Larson Olson is her name. She said she considers Trump to be real president, and lawmakers who voted to certify President Biden's presidential election should be put to death for treason, she said.
Wow, that's a pretty...
But let me give you a hug, lady.
That's a pretty severe position. Man. I don't know.
Speaking of Trump, a nickname former President Donald Trump previously used against one presidential opponent is now his nickname for another. He's recycling these names. Trump said yesterday he's now referring to President Joe Biden as Crooked Joe Biden. Throughout his 2016 presidential campaign, Trump referred to Hillary Clinton as Crooked Hillary. There's no creativity here with these names.
Well,
it's
the
really
kids today, they just don't.
I
think there's a hint of desperation. I really do.
Well, there really is. I would have liked him to invent something. You know, he usually takes something out and beta tests it in front of a farm. Like that's what he did with the what's his name, Ron DeSanctimonious.
That had some creativity.
Yeah, and then he tried a couple of other things on Ron DeSantis' name. I forget what they were, but he kind of tried them out. Then he stuck with the one. But this is kind of, I feel a little cheated, honestly, that he would go with Crooked Joe.
The recycling of the name. I mean, there's the standards. The standards are way, way low. And
that was so awful. It was beyond description.
All right.
I feel like that really tells the story that he's not serious about this election. He didn't even put any time, thought into it at all.
Come on. Give it some thought, time. Go ahead.
Washington Post video shows two protesters handcuffed and being escorted out of the National Gallery of Art by Washington, D.C. police. The protesters smeared paint across the case and the pedestal of Edgar Degas' Little Dancer aged 14 sculpture. Their intent, they say, was to call on government officials to take action on climate change. A noble thing to protest, right? Well, luckily they just got the plexiglass. This is why we can't have nice things. It is the latest in a series of vandalism of fine art in the name of protesting climate change. So,
yeah, this is very, you know where I am. I'm with these guys on a climate protest, but I just hate this stuff. I think it does more damage than good. So anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I on one hand, you can agree with what they're going for, but the method in which they choose to go that way, it's, I know they say you've got to block streets, you've got to do something big to make a splash, but hurting art, I don't like that.
You do have to make noise in the activist world, but this is, I think it hurts. It, for example, when you hear about occasionally someone will stand up in a restaurant and scream at the fact that foie gras is on the menu, and and I feel they're right that foie gras and all of the ways that we handle these animals, it's ruthless. There's a suffering that's unspeakably awful, but I think you do yourself more harm than good for the cause when you stand up and scream in a restaurant. And so, again, that's not most people, just as though most climate protesters aren't doing what these people are doing. But it just, unfortunately, everybody who's an environmentalist gets smeared with that same situation, and the same reputation might be the word. Yeah, tough one.
Here's a long overdue book. There's a box of recently donated books at a New Jersey library. Includes a book that was 44 years overdue. Finally back at the library. Somebody checked out Back to Basics from the Hopewell branch of the Mercer Library, July 25th of 1979.
Wow.
Good thing that the library capped its late fees at $6, sparing a potential $1,600 fine. So,
well, you know
goodness.
something? I will tell you that my dad, who I adore, and who has, he's written books, he has read more books than I could ever. I mean, it's like living at the Library of Congress, at that house that they live in.
Yeah.
He used to have tons, but I mean so many embarrassing numbers, Kim, of overdue library books in the house.
Really?
We'd give him endless grief about it as kids.
Oh.
And we'd wait for those, what do you call them? The forgiveness. What is it called?
Mm-hmm.
It's
the forgiveness days where like they have the grace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a word. What's the word, Albert?
Google it.
Anyway, we'd wait for those and then we'd take the books back. But sometimes he would hold on to them for years. I wouldn't be surprised if he's one of those guys, has a book,
got
from
a 44.
the
Probably
70s.
got some older than that, right?
Yeah, maybe. It's shameful.
This isn't really news, but I just really wanted to show
amnesty
it.
the word you're looking
Amnesty
for?
was the word I was looking for. Thank you, Albert.
Yep.
Although
that did not come from the top of my head. That was Google. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh my God.
Look at those.
Oh my God. Watch them
Breaking
jump.
news in
Watch
Petaluma.
them jump. They're so late.
Look at these little guys. They showed up in a pool this morning in Petaluma. But watch the little ducklings jump.
God.
They just plop right in the pool.
Look at them.
Oh,
Plop. The way they hit the.
that is so cute.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Miles.
Yeah.
Oh my
So
God.
that
Oh my
happened.
God. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. A lot of
It
oh
was
my
a big
gods in
deal.
that.
Big deal in Petaluma. The woman, Jennifer, comes down to shoo the wildlife out of the swimming pool. She says a battle for dominance ensued, but cuteness won in the end. They were allowed to stay and swim to their heart's content.
So let me tell you quickly, because I've got Michael Snyder waiting, that in the great actor Josh Malina, Malina, you can Google him.
Google
he's
it.
West Wing and Sports Night and everything. Now he's on Broadway. I follow him. He's a friend of mine, but I follow him on Instagram. That's how I know this. He had a pool just like the one you shown, and ducks got into the pool, a little mama and the baby ducks, and have had the same reaction that these people had. Oh my God, this is so cute.
Oh my God.
We've got to try to do what we can to foster an environment that they can thrive in, right? Because they're so cute. We want
Oh
them
my
to...
God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
So they needed to get rid of the chlorinated pool. They can't live in a chlorinated water source, right? So we had to drain. There's Josh Molina.
Yeah.
So we had to, I think, as I recall, drain the pool and put fresh water in the pool.
That's going way too far.
And then he didn't want to disturb. I thought it spoke so well for his heart. He didn't want to disturb the habitat. And so he ended up, as I recall, allowing this algae bloom to sort of begin to take over the pool. So increasingly in these Instagram posts, you would see more and more of that green algae growing everywhere.
No, Josh.
Yeah,
no.
It was. I think it was quite the sacrifice that family made. But that same sacrifice and that same fork in the road as to what you're going to do may be the case with the family in Petaluma. So we'll see.
I think you let them swim and then they eventually make their way out, and that's the way it goes.
Well, that's certainly the Hollywood ending. Right.
It's going to be hot this summer. I'm going to need my pool for swimming.
Yeah.
The Mark Thompson Show is crowdfunded. We do rely on you to support the show. You can help keep us going by contributing via PayPal or Patreon, and you can find all of the information and all of those links at themarkthompsonshow.com. I'm Kim McAllister on The Mark Thompson Show.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Hey, which one of you is Mark Thompson?
Who's Mark Thompson?
The Mark Thompson Show.
Well, thank you. We are excited. Fridays bring all of my kids in. We've had a great Friday so far, and I'm looking forward to this next segment. on. First of all, I would just mention again, smash the like button like a boss. I
Smash
guess
it with your iron
the thumbs
rod.
up do help us. And so many of you have contributed to us on super stickers and super chats. I appreciate that as well. We're a crowd-funded show, so without you, we go away. It's that simple. But right now, I look forward to Fridays for this guy. His recommendations are, spot on. People love him. He can read about many of his opinions in the Marina Times. He also writes a column in the Marina Times about stuff that has nothing to do necessarily with movies or television. But when it comes to music, clubs, television, movies, he is about it all. He's the culture blaster, and he comes and goes on a rainbow. He's the great Michael Snyder. And Michael, I just want to note that it's great to have you in studio.
It's always fun to be here. I'm delighted to be here with my three broadcast mentors, Mark, Kim, and Albert. And then my time's eaten up by Make Way for Ducklings. Thanks a million.
How dare
guys.
you? Those are adorable ducklings, and you should cherish that as your opening act.
Hey,
come on.
Speaking of broadcast issues, how perfect that Tucker Carlson was, and I quote, dumped by Fox News since he's the living embodiment of the poop emoji. Dump him, everybody.
I get it, because he's dumped.
Yeah, I don't want to do that scatological humor. I don't want to work blue, Mark. I'm sorry.
Yeah, try to clean it up.
I will. We've got movies. Shall we get to them?
Yes, we should.
Okay, so we were talking about library books being overdue earlier. Although it was first published in the early 1970s, author Judy Blume's novel, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, truly beloved by women young and old, has never been made into a feature film until now.
Wow.
I haven't read it, but I want to tell you, I have my own book, Are You There, Satan? It's Me, Michael, but I haven't found a publisher. Anyway, as I understand it, again, having never read the book, it's a lighthearted look at the growing pains of Margaret Simon, prepubescent daughter of a Jewish man and a Christian woman from New York City in the 70s, when the nuclear family moves to the New Jersey suburbs.
Scatological, Tom says, is a ding word. That's right.
In the movie, which I found genuinely charming, Margaret and her new coterie of girlfriends in the burbs are starting to deal with the onset of puberty and other challenges, like crushes on boys. Daunted by it all, Margaret tries to get God's attention for help and guidance, although she's a little unsure who's out there, since her loving and patient parents, Father Herb, played by a genial Benny Safdie, actor, director, screenwriter, one of the guys behind Uncut Gems, by the way, which I loved.
Oh, sure.
And Mother Barbara, played by a luminous Rachel McAdams.
Luminous is a ding.
We all know the lovely Rachel McAdams.
Genial is a ding.
They have not raised her as a Jew or a Christian because of the mixed marriage. They figure you're going to decide sooner or later. Let's leave religion alone. Of course, her Jewish grandmother, Sylvia, played by none other than that scene thief, Kathy Bates, is eager to introduce Margaret to synagogue, and Margaret goes to a couple different churches her friends attend. Anyway, this wouldn't work without a sympathetic and believable actress as Margaret, so it's a good thing that she's played in very unaffected style by Abby Ryder Fortson, who, by the way, was Ant-Man's daughter in the first two Ant-Man movies. Be advised that I left my testosterone at home when I went to the screening of Are You There?
So it's really it's for you think it's geared a little for women?
Yeah, I would say so, but I brought my delightful and thoughtful companion Jill along since she's part of the book's legion of fans. She felt that the cast was quite good and thought that director Kathy Freeman Craig, who also wrote the screenplay based on Blume's novel, did a lovely job, and I agree. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I thought it was very well made, even, again, if I'm not the target audience. It was lovely. Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret is in theaters starting this weekend.
Yeah, well, that's great. Okay. Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret.
When it comes to movies about the challenges of impending adulthood, and there's, that's kind of one of the themes here. Sure. I was absolutely blown away by a new indie feature film from the UK called Polite Society, written and directed by Nida Manzoor. Although she's directed TV in England, such as a couple recent Doctor Who episodes, this is her big screen directorial debut, and it's a doozy, jamming together genres including coming-of-age movies, heist movies, spy movies, Jane Austen-style period romances, and more. So, belying the title, Polite Society is an over-the-top action comedy that deals with the relationship between two British Pakistani sisters from London. Ria, who is a schoolgirl studying martial arts in hopes of becoming a stunt woman, not your traditional,
Yeah, that's an odd path, light path.
And Lena is a punky art school dropout who gets engaged to a rich, pretty boy a-hole with a controlling mother. So the parents of Ria and Lena are enthusiastic about the marriage, but Ria believes that the wealthy family has a hidden agenda, so she wants to save her sister from the opulent traditional Muslim wedding and what looks to be a loveless union. And
opulent is a ding word.
Ria is going to need all of her amateur fighting skills to stop the nuptials, since the groom's mom has a security detail at her beck and call to make sure the couple get hitched without a hitch.
Nuptials is a ding word.
In addition to being an empowering look at the evolution of Eastern women in Western society and the struggle between tradition and modernity, Polite Society is just plain fun and funny with these wildly entertaining antics, crazy fight sequences, and very engaging, memorable performances by Priya Kansara as Ria and Ritu Arya as Lena, as well as an accomplished supporting cast of actors and actresses from the UK and the Indian subcontinent. Manzoor is a genuine talent. I can't wait to see what she does next. Polite Society is in theaters.
Wow. Tom says modernity is a ding word.
I guess.
I wanted to add, so that's it's a little Bollywoodish.
There's definitely that flavor as well.
That's great. That's a good thing. Okay.
But it's a Western movie, with Western sensibilities, but it acknowledges, the ethnicities of the characters.
Okay.
Okay, so we seem to have a theme here. Speaking of the pain inherent in growing up.
Both have so far just in theaters, right? Not streaming.
Yes.
Okay.
We have another version of J.M. Barrie's classic novel, Peter Pan, from who else? Disney. In fact, this adaptation, entitled Peter Pan and Wendy, is the latest live-action redo of an animated Disney staple, although the filmmakers, led by director David Lowery, who, by the way, his retelling of the Arthurian legend, The Green Knight, was inspired. But the filmmakers seem to have dipped deeper into the source material while doing a little non-traditional updating and inclusion to spruce up the tale. It's still about Peter, the dashing boy who ran away to mystical Neverland so he'd never have to grow up, and the three Darling kids, that's their surname, from turn of the previous century London, Wendy, the eldest, and her two brothers, top-hatted John and baby Michael, who fly away with Peter to Neverland, powered by the pixie dust of the fairy Tinkerbell. You know the story.
Oh, yeah.
And, of course, they encounter Peter's nemesis, Captain Hook, and his crew of pirates, all sworn to eliminate Peter at Hook's behest. In a bit of refocusing and deeper contextualizing, Peter Pan and Wendy is as much about the fear of growing old as it is about kiddie swashbuckling and wish fulfillment. And to its credit, it looks spiffy and has the benefit of a game Jude Law as Hook, the always welcome Alan Tudyk and Molly Parker as Mr. and Mrs. Darling. Get this, Jim Gaffigan as Mr. Smee, and some non-obnoxious young actors as the Darling children, as Peter, Tinkerbell, the Lost Boys, and Indian Princess Tiger Lily. Alas, for all the effort, expense, and good intentions, Peter Pan and Wendy doesn't fly as high as it wants to. We have been here so many times.
It's just you think too many times to the well.
To its credit, it is, like I said, well crafted, and kids who have never seen the animated feature are probably going to be enthralled by it.
It has been a while since the animated feature, right?
And it's on Disney Plus, as is the animated feature, I think, which might be a better bet. But I still thought it had some merit. But man, we've been here so many times.
Joe Box says in the update, Tinkerbell is a meth dealer. Is that
Joe Box and Little Anthony?
That's not true. No. There's no street corner Tink here. Okay.
But Tom, who is the keeper of the ding, contextualizing is a ding word. I didn't even hear you say that. Behest is a ding word, he says, and inherent is a ding word.
All words I use in my regular conversations.
We're up to
Thank
speed.
you. Thank you.
Keep moving. Go
Okay,
ahead.
Big George Foreman, co-written and directed by George Tillman Jr., is a very conventional biopic about the two-time heavyweight champion with 2 decades between his championships. From 1974 to 1994, no championship, but, bookending with 2. And he grew up poor in Texas. He became a world-renowned boxer whose matches with Joe Frazier and Muhammad Ali are the stuff of legend. This is kind of a Cliff's Notes movie with most of the significant beats from poverty-spawned juvenile violence and crime to his time in the Job Corps to training in the sweet science to an Olympic gold medal, world heavyweight title, wealth, hubris, the crucial Foreman Ali fight in Zaire. His marriage breaks down, his embrace of religion. He becomes a preacher, financial ruin, the comeback, and of course, there is acknowledgement of his later-in-life cash cow, the George Foreman Grill. Look,
there's a lot there. That sounds kind of cool to take that ride.
But beat. It's somewhat elevated by Chris Davis as the adult Foreman, and of course, the great Forrest Whitaker as his boxing mentor, Doc Brodus. But the actors playing certain renowned figures in Foreman's life, such as Ali and broadcaster Howard Cosell, don't really look enough like those familiar faces to encourage suspension of disbelief. Big George Foreman is helped by Foreman being so beaten down as a kid at first and eventually so likable that you root for him. But compared to the cultural impact and drama of, say, Ali's life, it does pale. Big George Foreman is in theaters. I do have something I'm going to gush about.
Hubris is a ding word. Go ahead,
Of course
yo.
it is. Okay.
Real quick.
Sisu is my must-see of the week. It's an outrageously entertaining, seriously satisfying, ultra-violent 90-minute action movie set in Finland during 1944, the waning years of World War II. Just to give you a little idea of the tenor of the narrative, Sisu is a Finnish word that suggests the sort of desperate courage and balls-to-the-wall determination that manifests when all hope is lost. So at this juncture of the war, Finland and Moscow have signed an armistice that requires Finland to disarm the Nazis that had invaded and drive them out of Lapland. So in response, the Nazi forces have gone scorched earth. Meanwhile, in the wilderness, a man who had been an officer in the Finnish army decides to leave the war behind and prospect for gold. But he's more than a grizzled old prospector, as a group of retreating Nazis with a tank, a couple of jeeps, and a truck full of booze and captured Finnish women for pleasure will find out when the unit's greedy officers encounter the prospector and realize there might be financial benefits to taking him down. Needless to say, the old guy, played to perfection by Jorma Tommila, as the embodiment of Sisu, is determined. He's everything about Sisu that the word implies. So kudos to Finnish writer-director Jalmari Helander, who comes off here as Finland's own Quentin Tarantino. That is how spring-loaded and jaw-dropping Sisu is. It was out of control. It's in theaters, and it comes highly recommended by yours truly.
So it sounds like Sisu is the ranking officer on deck when it comes to films recommended this week by the Culture Blaster.
Well,
Sisu.
Yeah, unless
SISU for those listening.
Unless, you're among the gals who want to, embrace Are You There?
Right, I'll get to that.
Okay.
Big George Foreman, he said there's a lot to it, a lot of beats to that remarkable life. Some of the characters involved didn't really maybe look like people who we know very well. That's the problem with some of these biopics. You know some of these media figures too well.
The execution is sort of perfunctory. Let's put it that way.
Perfunctory is a sick dang word. The Peter Pan and Wendy movie, the Disney film, it's called Peter Pan and Wendy, while chock full of really notable names like Jude Law and who are some other notable names?
Molly Parker and Alan Tudyk as the parents, Jim Gaffigan. Yeah.
So, but while it has all those people, you felt it was, like maybe one too many trips to the Peter Pan and Wendy well. So, but not awful, just didn't really hit the ball.
No.
Polite Society.
Loved it.
Bollywoodish kind of really a Western film, but with sort of a nod to the ethnicity associated with a Bollywood movie. Really loved it. Got some laughs and kind of funny situation.
It's crazy. And so I would say Polite Society and Sisu are my picks for the weekend. Quick note, if you haven't heard about or seen Jury Duty, which is on Freevee via Amazon, there are ads. It slays.
I really have to see it. Somebody else recommended
Whitney
it to me,
Rice
too.
and James Marsden plays himself as someone who gets yanked into jury duty. But this is basically a faux reality TV show with one unknowing non-actor who is a civilian in the jury box. And I just thought it was very well done. And
really clever.
Kudos to my pal Whitney Rice, who plays the woman who's trying to sue someone for screwing up her business.
Jury Duty. I have seen it, and as I say, I can't recommend it. I also will mention Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. That's a movie with Kathy Bates, and he liked that as well, particularly geared for women who we particularly feels may enjoy this. All those movies in theaters except for Peter Pan and Wendy, which also is streaming on Disney+.
True.
Michael, love your visits. I wish we could linger longer, but sadly, we're over time.
Hey, it's okay by me.
Go
as long as the Warriors win tonight, all is well with the world. Guys, we'll check you next week.
It comes and goes on a rainbow, the Culture Blaster. Michael Snyder, everyone. Yeah, right on. Right on.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Wow. Well, I'm a big fan of Michael Snyder. I'm a big fan of everyone who's participated in this show today. And again, I'll remind you that I'm wearing the beta testing the shirt. I'm more comfortable with the jacket on or some kind of the red
you
doesn't
can't see
really
the logo. Yeah.
Yeah, but I did wear it for most of the show, so you should be Albert, you want to recognize some people who have super stickers, super chats, and that sort of thing? We got some great comments today. I thought it's a really cool crew. Ann Herring, thank you so much, Ann. A big
shout out.
Ashley shout out to you, Ann. Thank you for a
you,
$20 contribution today. It really does matter. And, since you're crowdfunded, it's a cool way to do it. Kelly Malloy for $10.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Kelly.
Thank you
Thank you so much for all the ways you show us support. Gail Guthrie, who is both familiar to us for being a regular viewer and also a regular contributor and supporter. The Why Are You Yelling Red is delicious, she says.
Awesome.
I love that.
I like it too. Good job, Gail.
Yeah,
why are you yelling?
We'll enjoy some more while watching the Dubs tonight. TGIF. Yeah, go Dubs.
Go Dubs.
They need to win tonight, but they don't, it's not like, win or go home. But still.
They have
Kathy,
some leeway, but it would be nice to just wrap it up.
Yeah, love you all so much. Keep it up, Kathy. Thank you so much, Kathy.
Thank you,
How
Kathy.
civilized of you to say that. And Deirdre Losica, of course, from Losica Concrete, $25 of thank you for the contribution.
Thank you so much.
so much. You brighten my day every day, especially on Fridays. Beautiful. Thank you, Deirdre. That's really, really cool. You can find us, of course, here. You can super sticker us, and if you're watching the show later, you can hit the little heart with a $sign. That's a way to make contributions as well. We're crowdfunded, so we have to kind of pitch you for money occasionally, which we do. And thank you for becoming a Patreon member. Thank you for some of you who have upped your Patreon support. All of that is at themarkthompsonshow.com. What can I say? I look back at this week, and I think, job well done.
Yeah.
We had some big stuff happen. We had the whole Tucker Carlson thing. We had the Joe Biden announcement. By the way, the music in the Joe Biden announcement, I didn't tell you this, but it got us a copyright strike.
Oh, no!
Because we ran a little bit of his announcement, and that music is copyrighted, so it's very funny.
Thanks, Joe.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. But anyway, well, that artist who wrote that, they deserve the money, so they've got it now. Nikki's show's going on now. Go on over there and enjoy. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thanks for all the ways you support us. It really does matter, and I appreciate it very much.
I'm Shadow Stevens for the Mark Thompson Show.
Go Warriors, and also the Niners actually have draft picks tonight. So.
Oh, that's right. Niners in the draft tonight. Good to have the commissioner back. Till Monday. Bye-bye.